So we've done a lot of drops in different areas before, but the one that stands out to me that was the coldest one we've ever done is Escape the Arctic. That season, that was unbelievable.
It was bone chilling basically the entire season.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And we got a call that said, you got to get out.
Yeah, we got chased out. That's why we ended up calling it Escape the Arctic, is because, you know, when you're out there, you always like to think you're in control. You're not.
No.
I mean, Mother Nature's in control. And that year, yeah, normally when we move from location to location, we have a satellite phone, so we call the pilot. This is our last known coordinates. We're expecting to go this far. That way, if shit hits the fan, at least they have last knowns. And we called and said, you know, here's our plan for the next, I think it was 7 days. And we got laughed at. And it was like, yeah, that's fine. You need to get out in 2, because if we don't get you out in 2, we might not get you out at all.
And it was it was 50 plus miles, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were like 50 miles.
50 miles from the LZ.
Over 2 days. We basically had to push. I'll never forget, it went down to 9 degrees. Yep. You could literally watch the edge of the river like freezing up. It was warmer to keep my feet in the water, in 36 degree water, than it was to keep them out, because they would freeze into a solid block of ice. And we would come around these bends, and we'd come around the bend and hit that headwind, and those winds would blow the raft backwards against the current up the river. Oh. And that's when I was like, holy shit, we're in trouble.
We're in trouble, and it's so hard to show in a production cold. Like you can show ice, but it's so like you can show rain, you can show snow. You can't show just blistering cold, because it was just cold. Yeah. Like there's nothing to show. And we had a pretty dangerous moment. We had one of the camera guys from the behind the scenes side of things. Yeah. Like he was not in a good place. Yep. They were behind us, and you and I were rafting together, and we stopped, and he was legitimately on the verge of like hypothermia. Yep. He was and we had to build that fire right on the side. Yeah. And we just tried to get him warm like immediately. And it took probably 45 minutes of time that we didn't really have, because we were against the clock to try to get out before the storm, but we had to get him warm. Yeah. I'll never forget that.
That was one of those, like when we pulled off to the side, because normally we try to keep those guys in sight. We pulled off to the side because we couldn't see them. Yep. And they weren't there, and they weren't there, and they weren't there, and they weren't there. And it became a moment of like, this is getting real bad real fast.
Yeah, we immediately started to build a fire. So when they came around the bend, we were like, we know that they're struggling. And he got off, and then we got him warm, and we got back in, and it was like, sorry, man, we got to keep going. Mm-hmm. And he was like, let's go. And he did. He was awesome. He toughed it out.
We had to keep going for another 48 hours.
I know, straight. It was like,
not like that's a mile down the river.
Yeah, it was brutal. And we get there, and the plane shows up. And literally, he didn't even like talk to. He was like, "Roll the rafts, let's go." He was like, "Get in the plane." And we got back, and like the last flight took off, and it was like a couple of hours later, and they would have had to come in like late with skis. Yeah. So
yeah, it was bad, and hence, Escape the Arctic.
Escape the Arctic. And there was one, I'll never forget this. There's a funny thing that happened when you and I were rafting, and we saw that moose. Oh. And I was at the front. And I was supposed to be the guy at the front of the raft, and instead I grabbed the camera, because this moose is straight up dogging a cow moose, like it was like a buck and rut. Yeah. Right past, and I grabbed the camera. When I did, I stopped rowing, and I started filming, and then all of a sudden, the raft, she went by once, and then she went by twice, and then she went by a third time, and I'm like, what are we doing? You're like, you're not rowing. And we were tail spinning out through the rapids. And I was like, and then I don't know if it was the cold or just the moment, but at that point, we literally pissed our pants. Like we were crying, laughing for like another 2.5 miles, because I don't know, maybe it was just exhaustion. I don't know, but we were dying.
Well, we both still had moose tags. Yeah. And we just kept going.
I know.
I mean, it was one of the like largest moose I've ever seen.
Yep. We just had to keep going.
But we didn't have a choice.
And a lot of people don't know that we did not have a choice, because we had to get out. Yep. And if we would have taken that animal, we would have been there for another 24 hours, because we had to take care of that animal, and we're not going to do it. So we chose our lives to get out, and we ended up getting out safe, and we escaped the Arctic.
If the pilot's going to be on the gravel bar, your ass better be on the gravel bar.
Exactly. Exactly. So that is an inside look at Escape the Arctic.